Welcome to the Whyte Answer. In this edition, I'll be exploring the role of warm-up and performance. There is a great deal of debate regarding the need for warm-up prior to exercise and its subsequent impact on performance. Over the last decade, extensive research has examined the importance of warm-up. The primary aim of warm-up is to increase performance through increased core body and muscle temperature, increased energy turnover in the muscle, elevated oxygen uptake kinetics, increased muscle fiber conduction velocity and power, and increased speed of nerve transmission. In addition, warm-up has been shown to positively impact on a number of psychological factors, including improved readiness and reduced perception of effort. Warm-up consists of a variety of activities under the umbrella of general or specific warm-ups. General warm-up usually involves low-intensity aerobic exercise, static stretching, and dynamic stretching. Whereas specific warm-up involves exercises specific to the skills performed in the subsequent exercise and includes short duration, high-intensity bouts of exercise, sometimes called priming exercise. During training, the warm-up is usually followed immediately by the session. During competition, however, the length of transition phase between the warm-up and the performance is important. Too short a period of time could result in excessive fatigue, and too long a period of time could lead to a loss of the beneficial effects. In general, 10 to 20 minutes is optimal for performance. However, you should experiment to develop your own strategy. Static stretching held for less than 60 seconds, proprioceptor neuromuscular facilitation or PNF stretching, or dynamic stretching all increase the range of motion, lasting for around 30 minutes and appear to have little detrimental effect on subsequent performance. Of note, performing dynamic activities after stretching appears to remove any potentially negative effect. Although stretching does not appear to have any significant effect on all-cause injury or overuse injury, there is evidence to suggest a reduction in acute injury in high-intensity repetitive actions, for example in sprinting. There have been a number of studies examining the role of passive warm-up, for example hot baths. However, as this is an unusual and often impractical form of warm-up, I will leave that to another time. Power and sprint sports lasting less than 1 minute. Studies suggest that general warm-ups, including stretching, and specific warm-ups lead to an improvement in performance. However, combined warm-up appears to be the most effective in improving performance in power-based sports. Active warm-ups should be limited to around 15 minutes in duration. The inclusion of plyometric type exercises as part of the warm-up is recommended to improve post-activation potentiation and subsequent power production. In addition, the inclusion of 5 to 10 near race pace short efforts is recommended to improve subsequent speed. Sustained high-intensity sports lasting 1 to 5 minutes. Studies suggest that general warm-ups, including stretching, and specific warm-ups lead to an improvement in performance. However, a combined warm-up appears most effective in improving performance in sustained high-intensity sports. Active warm-ups should be limited to around 15 minutes in duration. The inclusion of at least one maximum training intensity or race pace effort of at least 25% of the distance to be raced is necessary for optimal priming. Endurance sports lasting longer than 5 minutes. Studies suggest that general warm-ups, including stretching and specific warm-ups, lead to an improvement in performance. However, a combined warm-up appears most effective in improving performance in endurance sports. The inclusion of 5 to 10 race pace efforts lasting around 1 minute appears necessary for optimal priming. Of note, passive heat maintenance devices, such as heated athletic garments and blizzard survival jackets, can preserve the beneficial temperature effects induced via an active warm-up during lengthy transition phases between warm-up and competition. In general, I recommend a combined general and specific warm-up with short, for example less than 1 minute, bouts of high intensity exercise mimicking the intensity of the session or competition. Plyometric type exercises, for example drop jumps, are valuable for exercise involving maximum power output. During training, the duration of the warm-up is also linked to the intensity of the session. The higher the intensity of the session, the longer the warm-up should be. Furthermore, the higher the intensity of exercise, the greater the indication for static and/or dynamic stretching. Excessive warm-up leading to glycogen depletion and fatigue should be avoided. Prolonged endurance exercise at or below the anaerobic threshold should not require a specific warm-up. There is sport-by-sport variation. For example, in swimming, recent findings have shown that warm-up has a positive effect on the swimmer's performance. In swimming, warm-up should consist of a relatively moderate distance between 500 meters and 1500 meters, with at least one set of short-duration race pace efforts towards the end of the pool warm-up. Land exercises, including stretching, should be incorporated into the warm-up. Recovery times sufficient to prevent the early onset of fatigue and to allow the restoration of energy reserves is required to optimize performance, with a recovery time of somewhere in the region of 8 to 20 minutes being recommended. From a personal perspective, as an Olympian and a sports scientist, I always warm up. But that warm-up is tailored to the session. The harder the session, the more specific the warm-up should be.